about yesterday. Your smile, your style so fly. My, oh my. As time stood still, I got the urge to steal a kiss, and so I did. Now I'm embarrassed, but just a little bit. Oh, there must be gold on those lips and honey on those fingers.
Hi friends, and welcome back to Lemon Tree Corner. If you don't know me, my name is Heather, and I run a handmade business called Lemon Tree Corner, where I make purses and bags and project bags for makers and crafters like you. This week in the studio, we are going to finish up all of our squishy bags. I've made the first two here, and after making the first one, I remembered some things that I didn't make notes on. So I made the zipper a little too long. The zipper tabs don't quite, get my face out of the way there. The zipper tabs don't quite line up exactly, and so I made the next zipper a little shorter. You can see there where it comes together with the outside of the bag. The zipper tab pops out all the way, so it's a good thing to note. For the rest of the zippers, I'll have to cut them a little shorter. But it turned out pretty well, and I decided to do a 2-inch box bottom. I think that looks good. It might taper a little too much. We'll see on the next one. I might make it a little bit smaller. And then the interior has pockets and a progress keeper hook on it. So looking forward to making all of those bags. And we're also going to continue on with our granny squares for the granny square blanket. Somebody asked me in the comments last week what the torture device is. So it's a blocking board. So basically you set up the pins where you want them to be, and you kind of stretch your granny squares over it so you can see that it just kind of creates a uniform shape. Sometimes when we crochet, it's not always uniform, and you want to be able to sew all these together at the end. So that's what that's for, is just to block them all so that they're the exact same size for when you're ready to sew them together. And speaking of that, what do you do with all these granny squares? I have like 126 I need to make for this blanket, and this is just like 2 or 3 of each. So I don't know how to store these once I'm done with them, besides just making a big pile somewhere. You know, go through the trouble of blocking them, and they're all uniform now, but then what do you do with them after that? I don't know how long this blanket's going to take me, so I don't know how long I'm going to need to store them somewhere. We'll see about that. I'm also continuing work on my corner to corner shawl, which, as you'll see in the later clip, has kind of changed shape and direction. So that brings us to the topic of the week, which is, how often do you have to pull your work apart? Whether that's getting the seam ripper out and straightening up quilting lines, whether that's tearing out some of your crochet project or your knitting project when you realize it's getting wonky or you don't like the way the colors are striping. It's something that we face as crafters all the time. And my husband likes to call it my Buddhist practice of impermanence. A few years ago we saw Buddhist monks doing a mandala and with sand. So they take the sand and they pray for like 3 days straight. They make the mandala. It's a beautiful thing. And then they basically let the sand fall, like in a creek or something, and it's just to show the impermanence of life and that you shouldn't hang on to things. So whenever I have to pull something apart, my husband calls it my Buddhist practice, and it really does put that in mind, that nothing is permanent, everything fades away, live for today. So just wonder if any of you have that experience as you're tearing something apart and thinking, all the work that I put into this and now I'm tearing it apart. And I find myself doing that a lot. So just curious, put down in the comments if you find yourself doing that, or if you ever feel that way, that that you should just let it go and let it develop how it wants to develop instead of forcing it to be something. And I find the harder I hold on to that idea of it has to look this way, I can't stop now, I've put too much time into it, I always wind up putting more hours into it instead of just taking it apart then and there when I know it needs to be taken apart. So I kind of cause myself some more hardship just by doing it that way. I think this is my 8th episode now, so just want to thank you all for coming along the journey with me and building this community together. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me get in front of more like-minded people such as yourself. So let's get started, make some bags, and tear apart some crocheting. Let's go. Okay, folks, it is the time of reckoning. So I have played yarn chicken and I am about to lose. So here we have the shawl so far. I just put it over my shoulders and it's just teeny. With the amount of yarn I have left, I probably have 1 or 2 more rows that I can do, which is sadly not going to be enough. This is the frustrating point of working on a project with no pattern, so really had no clue going into it how much yarn I was going to need to complete this. Have never made a triangle shawl before, so was really not clear on how much yarn it was going to take to get the triangle up to a spot that would really drape over my shoulders nicely. And of course, this yarn that I love, she only had 2 skeins left, and I bought those 2 skeins, and this is as far as I'm going to get, which is not enough. I could contact her to see if she would be willing to make me 2 more skeins of this, but at $27 a skein, we're looking at over $100 just to make a shawl. And I already have the other shawl that I'm making, which I can get more skeins of yarn for. So I think I'm going to keep that one as the triangle shawl because I know I can order more skeins as I need them. I don't know if I need 3 or 4 at this point, but I can keep working on that one. But this one has to come out. And I really love this pattern. I was thinking maybe I can just do the linen stitch with like a large rectangle and make a rectangle shawl with it, because this whole, this whole triangle part is a waste of yarn. All of this yarn could be, branching out over here. It's all a crapshoot. It's all an experiment at this point. So the only thing I'm losing by tearing this apart is my time, and it's been time spent on the couch watching TV, so it hasn't been like major loss of time, but it's sad because I really love the way this is looking. So I think what I'll do is tear this apart and try it as a nice long rectangular shawl slash scarf. See how far I get. It might just turn out being a scarf, but we'll try that. All it is time. All it is my time on the couch watching TV, so it's not like a big waste of time if that doesn't work either. And you win some and you lose some, and today I lost. So, it's so sad because it's so pretty and I love this yarn, but I can't get any more of this yarn. And if I wind up spending over $100 on the other shawl, I really don't want to do that with this. I also I'm not used to working with this yarn, so I don't have any other plan of what I can do with it. I think a baby blanket would be good, but I would get just as far with a baby blanket as I would with a shawl with these 2 skeins. So, that's all, folks. Back to square one. Wah, wah, wah.
wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky. We just sail with the wind that we've got. And when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore. I woke up in the middle of the night. Na, na, na. And I wondered how you're always right. It gets me. I couldn't see what you saw in me. Ooh, na, na, na. But you showed me how to believe. Still gets me. When I look back, I can see you're hiding, waiting for a moment to step in. And I'll never understand how you saw it coming. Oh, but I will love you for it all. Yeah, I will love you for it all. It is hard to share my thoughts. Ooh, na, na, na. It's like hiding a wound in a bleeding heart. It gets me. But I know that you need it all. Ooh, na, na, na. Just give me some time, 'cause I need to know that you're staying. When I look back, I can see you're hiding, waiting for a moment to step in. And I'll never understand how you saw it solid coming. Oh, but I will love you for it all. Yeah, I will love you for it all.
I could dry out in the sun for you, follow the deep dark ocean down. For you I'd build the biggest kite and spend all of my time giggling. Daydreaming is my new middle name. This is not a game for me. Imagining is my new best friend, and ready's all I see. I got a PhD in love. Every step, every breath for you. My head's up over the clouds for you. If there's a valley, I'd build a bridge so that you could get by. Or I'd grow wings so we could fly. Daydreaming is my new middle name. This is not a game for me. Imagining is my new best friend, and ready's all I see. I got a PhD in love. My heart covers every degree, but there's no guarantee in love. No, we just have to wait and see. Daydreaming is my new middle name. This is not a game for me. Imagining is my new best friend, and ready's all I see. Oh, daydreaming is my new middle name. This is not a game for me. And imagining is my new best friend. Ready's all I see. Got a PhD in love. Oh, I got a PhD in love.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of the week. I got 6 of the 9 bags made, and that's pretty much all I'm going to be able to do before we leave for vacation, because I need to start packing and everything. But I wanted to show you the finished bags, and they're all right here. Great. So there's this one, which turned out to be kind of the Ukrainian flag. So unintentional, but nice. And then the interior that has a pocket that has that accent fabric on a little peak on the inside. And then they all have a little ring where you can put all of your progress keepers on. And then I went with the zipper that has the bronze, antique bronze on it for that one. And we have this one, which has the really nice subtle fabric with the gray. It's really an interesting combination that I haven't done before, so that was nice. And then we have the rest of the Walmart fabrics. So this one's very cute with the dots, very pretty. And I paired that with a butterfly pole. So this is a rainbow zipper, which is nice. And this one turned out, I like this one better than the other one, which is interesting because I didn't think that I would. I thought I liked the other one better. But I really love the pink and the green. Just really nice combination. And then we have the farmhouse one, which is so cute. That turned out really cute. And I was able to get a nice variety of the fabric on both sides. This one was kind of a pain to do the plaid. It's just such a, it's got to be lined up and cut right and lined up and everything. I think I did a pretty good job. It was unintentional because partway through cutting out the fabric I said, forget it, it's gonna, whatever it looks like is what it's gonna look like. And then it actually turned out to be quite straight with the lines, so it was a happy accident there. And then this one with the hands was kind of an afterthought one that I did because this was originally a lining fabric to one of the other fabrics. But it was just so pretty, I had to make it its own bag. And this is the one where I had to buy the cork to go with this. So that turned out nicely. It's a nice match. It's always hard to do over the internet and get things to match things that you already have in your house. So that was a pleasant surprise there. And I did order the turquoise cork to go with the other bag, but it doesn't work. It's gonna need the turquoise glitter vinyl. So I'll have to reorder that from her before I get to the bag. It's in the next batch of bags that we're doing, so I have a while for that. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the crochet projects. So I was able to order, after 6 weeks it has come in, the new yarn to go with the corner to corner shawl, the red one. So I just got the new yarn. It's a little brighter of a red, so it's not quite gonna match. It doesn't look bad so far. I've done about 3 or 4 rows. So I'm really hoping that this doesn't look awful by the time I'm done. If anything, it's gonna be a subtle stripe change, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but not exactly what I was going for. And then I had ordered this yarn from Bird Street Yarn, which I thought would go great with the other shawl that is now a rectangle shawl. I pulled it apart. So what I did is I had pulled it apart and wanting to just make a shawl out of this, but as you can see, oh, that's the other one. I'm not supposed to show you that yet. As you can see, I'm not going to have a lot of yarn. This is going to be more like a scarf than a shawl if I keep going like this. So I had found this other yarn, which I thought, oh, that goes very nicely with this. Let me order that. And then they also had some other ones that I thought I could blend together, like maybe mix those all in together. With this one, like this, kind of a stripy thing going on. But it just didn't really look great. Plus, after taking a look at this yarn, it's way thinner than this yarn. So they're not going to go together very nicely, which is kind of annoying. But let me tell you what these are. They're beautiful. And I will have to figure out a project to use these 3 with. They happen to go together, so that's good. I can use them on another project. This blue one is called Nautilus. And this is in 4-ply superwash merino, which is pretty much the description on this other yarn, but I guess DK weight is what this other yarn is. I don't know enough about this yet to be able to tell. So this is definitely a thinner yarn. And then this nice mottled blue one is called Maria Sibilia. It's a person in history, I'm sure. I would have to research that. And then this beautiful magenta one is called Tart, which is great. So I was kind of distraught when I figured out that those weren't going to work for the shawl that I had torn apart and then have redone to this point. It's pretty big now, and just really worried about, I really don't want this to be a scarf. I wanted it to be a shawl, and what does that mean? Maybe I can find another yarn company that I can try and match this with, and starting from scratch. And meanwhile, I've spent a lot of money on the Bird Street yarn that I don't know what to do with now. So it'll become another project, but you know, the shawl project is getting way more expensive than it was supposed to be when I started. And then I just happened to be looking for my set of smaller smaller crochet hooks that I had ordered. And I'm looking through all my yarn and trying to find the hooks. And then I realized, oh, this yarn goes perfectly. It's another yarn that I had bought just to stage with photos of my project bags. And it just turns out it goes perfectly. Oh, that's so beautiful. So I'm going to use these two. Unfortunately, you know, two stripes just kind of looks weird. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. We'll see how big it is by the time I get through both of those and see if I need to try and find another yarn to go with it. I don't know. But that brings us to another crochet quandary that a lot of us have, which is using different yarns. You know, it's the price point versus the value and sustainability and things like that. Up before this year, when I branched out and started to try different yarns, I was really just using the cotton sugar and cream yarn, which I'm very happy about ethically because it's cotton and it's sustainable. It's a material that's natural fiber. So I was very happy just using the cotton yarn. But there's certain projects that doesn't work for, and some of these more dainty, delicate projects that I wanted to work on, that doesn't really work for. And I had bought some of the hand-dyed yarn, and I was curious to work with it and make some garments out of it. So that kind of took me down the rabbit hole. And but they're about $23 to $27 to $35 a skein, and that's very expensive. This shawl that I'm making, the corner to corner shawl, is going to wind up taking at least 3 skeins of yarn, maybe 4. I mean, that's $100 right there for a shawl. So, you know, you gotta weigh the pros and cons there. But I feel good about it because it's wool. And it's a sustainable, and I'm also supporting another handmade business. So I can get behind it like that. It's just kind of expensive when you add up all the crochet projects that you're doing and making. And when it came to the granny squares, I really had a quandary about that because I have to buy so many different colors, and I wanted a yarn that had a lot of good colors, and also color matching. I could go back and buy another skein of that if I ran out. I could buy it months later and it was still going to match. So you're really looking at big companies at that point for that kind of thing. And I also didn't want to pay $25 a skein for all of these skeins of yarn that I was going to need to make the granny squares. So, you know, I wound up going to Joann's. I wound up getting an acrylic blend. I don't normally like working with acrylics, but there it is. You know, and those were on sale for $2.50 a skein. And it's just, it's incredible the difference in price. But it's a quandary I have buying clothes, you know, supporting different businesses that are making cheap goods overseas and probably not fairly paying anybody, sweatshops, all of that. It just brings up all of these ethical concerns for me. Where I can, I like to put my money, invest my money into things that are good for the planet and good for people and are equitable and support good practices across the world. So that's kind of hard to do depending on, you know, what your financial situation is. And these are all things that are also investments in my business. You know, what I want my business to stand for is sustainability and equality and good practices around the world. and I want to pass that on to my consumers, but I don't want to pass on a hefty price tag to them. I want to pass on a quality product with good materials put into it. So just thinking about all of that, and there's not an easy answer to it. So I will continue to struggle about where I'm sourcing my materials, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's something that I should be concerned with as a handmade business, and being cognizant of who I'm supporting and who I'm representing and the types of products that I'm putting out there into the world. Okay, that's enough of that. Well, thank you all for joining me this week. It's been fun. Doing the batch sewing really makes a difference. I mean, I technically cut them all out as separate bags, but having all the bags prepped and cut and ready to sew means that I don't have to set aside a whole afternoon to work on a bag. The bags themselves came together like within an hour because everything was prepped and ready to go. And that's a lot easier to fit into my schedule because otherwise I wind up doing everything on the weekends. So that worked out good, and I'll have to do that because I can do a lot of prep during the weekends, and then on weeknights I can sew the bags together. So that's kind of a good process for me to keep in mind moving forward. Next time you'll see me, we will be on the Oregon coast or in a plane on the way to the Oregon coast. And so that means that there's probably not going to be a video next week because I want to just have fun on the trip, and I'm not going to be coming home and editing, kind of making it a crazy car tours vacation, as my mom would call it. A lot of driving up and down the coast. And so I think I'm just going to be beat by the time we get back to the condo and not really wanting to edit videos or anything. So I'm going to take next week off, so you won't have a video on the 9th, I think it is, but you'll have a travel video the week after that. And you might have 2 videos that week depending on how much stuff I get done once I get home. And it's great to see you and spend time with you today. And I hope that you're doing well, that your families are all safe, and you're having a good time being creative in your day-to-day lives. So see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait.